Welcome to Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sarah Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show, we have
Alyssa Archer.
Alyssa's a friend of ours, and we've known her, well, since we've known each other pretty much. And it was a great interview.
It was. And Alyssa is I realized this the other day, she's the first indie author I ever met in person, because she was the first person I met at the Smarter Artist. We talked about that a little bit in the podcast. Yeah. We were setting up chairs or something together or doing something, to help get ready.
You went the night before to help set up or something.
Yeah, because I didn't know anyone. So that's a tip on getting to know people is volunteer to do something. Because, it's nice to have, especially if you're an introvert, you can have activity and do something. So we talked to her, and she has moved from fiction writing into nonfiction.
Yes.
And doing a lot of editing and helping people get their stories out in the world. And she said it's just a perfect fit for her. She loves it. And we talked to her about how she made that change, and also a lot about ADHD.
Yes, we do. We do. She and I kind of go down a rabbit hole about that, but it was good. It was good. Actually, and Alyssa has edited for me before, and I just can tell you she's very insightful, just super, super insightful when it comes to editing. Yeah, it was a great interview. We also talk about AI on this a little bit. So Alyssa has embraced AI for a lot of tools and
just to help her be
her workflow
more efficient, I think. Yeah.
And so we talk about that.
So lots to cover in this coming up. What have you had going on this week?
Oh, nothing. Not nothing. I finished swimming lessons, thank the Lord. But my daughter was in the hospital for almost an entire week. And the one that I was staying with 5 kids.
Like, she didn't have time to go to the hospital, right? She's got 5 kids.
She didn't have time to be as sick as she was, but she's fine now. She actually got over what sent her to the hospital within a couple of days. But then something else happened, and it was an easy fix for it, but they didn't know about it or do it. It's weird. Let me just say, advocate for yourself in the hospital, or have someone advocate for you. And I will tell you how grateful I felt being in that hospital with her, knowing that there was always someone with her, because walking up and down those halls, there were people there by themselves all the time. And no one is, they're not advocating for themselves. No one's advocating.
Because they're sick. They're not feeling, it's hard to do that when you're not feeling good.
It is. So anyway, advocate for yourself, or have people who will advocate for you. Once they did the fix, it worked almost immediately. She got out on Friday evening, Saturday morning, very early. They left to go to the beach, and now we're all at the beach. My husband and I flew. But so that's what we're doing. And this week we're just going to be at the beach and relaxing. So that's awesome.
Taking some time. That's good.
Yeah.
How
about you?
My ads, I've got them running, and I was just going to let everyone know that I've spent like $60 training, and I've sold 3 books.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm letting them run. I've got a whole bunch of going, a whole bunch with variations, and I'm just going to let it go. And I'm sure I'll get it fine tuned in, but that's part of it, right? Is you just have to spend some money to see what resonates, right?
And that's the problem. That's what's hard for a lot of people. You just have to know, really, for that first month, you have to be willing just to spend.
It's an investment. It's an investment to see what sells.
And you're not maybe going to see the return on that investment.
No, I'm not. I'm not counting those pennies as like, I'm going to get this back tomorrow. That's
you just have to know that. So
I've got that going. And then also want to mention that there is, if you write mystery, and if you have a birthday book club, if you send your readers something on their birthday, there's an author who has set up a mystery book club, birthday book club, through BookFunnel. So that's what I've been doing for about 6 months. And she's kind of refreshed it. So if you want to get in on that, you have to have a birthday club, you have to write mystery, and you just sign up. And so what I do is I have a little email that goes out to my list on the first day of the month. And it was like, hey, would you like a free book? Happy birthday. Go over here to BookFunnel and you can pick out whatever you like. So there's like a selection of books. So that's an easy way to give back to your readers and kind of say happy birthday. And people really love it. I get emails all the time on the first of the month. I'm like, oh yeah, that did go out. So it's all automated, on my end. My newsletter stuff is all automated, so I don't have to do anything. But yeah, so if anyone's interested in that, I'll put that link in the show notes.
Right.
And
maybe do a whole podcast on that, and you can walk people through it.
we could do that. That might be a really good idea. We'll make a note. So that's about all I've got going on.
Well, we should get on with the episode because it is great.
All right, here is Alyssa. Today we are really excited to talk to Alyssa Archer. Hi, Alyssa. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. I'm doing great. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, we're all three good friends, so this may turn into more of a gab session than
I was going to say
an interview, but just hang on. We'll see. Sarah, why don't you read Alyssa's bio for us?
Okay. Longtime indie author and editor, Alyssa Archer spends her days exactly as she loves to, writing, reading, and sharing her wisdom to help others fulfill their dreams. She lives in Roanoke, Virginia, with her family of 5.
You've just moved to Roanoke.
I did, just about 2 months ago.
Yeah, from Texas.
From Texas. Yeah, we went from a 5-acre homestead to right in the middle of downtown.
So cool. Tell us how you got into writing.
Oh, gosh. So I've always loved reading. I've been a massive reader. I don't remember learning to read. I just remember inhaling books as a young kid. All the adults around me being surprised at how fast I would go through something. And I started reading fantasy. And I remember reading the Piers Anthony's Xanth series. And it's lighthearted, it's popcorn reading. But at the end of every book, he would have an author's note. And he would talk about how he would walk out to his little cabin and write for the day. And that was when I realized that books were written by human beings and that I could maybe be a writer someday too. So thank you, Piers. And then I loved writing. I loved reading. I wrote horrible poetry in grades, junior high school and high school. But English teachers started taking notice of me and my interest, and they started sending me to junior writers conferences. It was like adult writing conferences, but they'd allow some high schoolers to attend, and I got to be one of those high schoolers. So it was really early exposure. I went for an English degree at the University of Oregon, and my senior year, I was selected to be one of 16 students in the Walter and Nancy Kidd tutorial, which was a graduate level writing program for undergraduates. And so I had three other students in the class with me and the professor. And so the 4 of us and the professor met, I can't remember, it felt like 15 hours a week. It was a lot. We were writing and editing intensively every single week. So that was my kind of introduction to production level fiction writing. And then I went off and graduated, got a job in a bookstore, much to my parents' chagrin.
Yeah, I went into one does when one's an English major.
You don't know what you can do with that degree. I didn't know what to do with it. Anyway, and then I spent a lot of time in the corporate world after that. I went into magazine publishing. I was in Seattle in the late 90s. I went into coffee packaging product management. And that sort of taught me project management, taught me customer service. And then I started doing proposal writing for a boutique software firm and then later for a large energy services contracting firm. And those documents would range from 250 to 1,800 pages, and we'd have to put them together in 30 days to 4 months. And so believe it or not, I burned out.
Imagine. Yeah.
And at that time, I was also writing fiction on the side. And this is about 2013. I published my first novel and decided to strike it out as an indie author. Or not just an author, but an editor. I started seeking out indie authors as clients. And I really haven't looked back. I left the corporate world in 2015, and I've been editing, writing, publishing ever since.
Ever since. Wow. And you've had some really big clients too.
I have.
I've
had some. I got to work with Phil Hellmuth, a poker player. So if you're a poker player, you know that name. He's I believe it's now 18-time bracelet winning a World Series of Poker champion. Awesome. It's been fun. It's been really fun. I got to most recently work with Mary Michael Potter, who is one of Austin's longest serving midwives. She's caught more than 3,000 babies in the 50 years that she's been working.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing experience. It was working intensely with her and her daughter to create her book of birth. And it's a guide to pregnancy from conception through delivery. And I learned a lot. It was a really intense and wonderful experience. And it's a book I'm super proud of.
And it's not a pamphlet.
It's like a textbook.
Yeah, it's 630 pages.
Yeah. It's really impressive. Really impressive.
Thank you. It was a joy to work on. And I love it when I have a project that is interesting to me because it's new. And that helps my ADHD brain. That's one of the reasons I like to work with lots of different clients. And also it helps so many people, and that's so satisfying to me.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, it seemed to me, like watching your career from the outside, it seemed like you had a period where you were doing fiction pretty heavily. And now it seems like you've stepped away from that to do more of the editing and other things. So how did that happen?
So I'm absolutely horrible at marketing, and I love writing. I think my books are good, but I don't market them at all. I'm terrible at it. So in order to make money,
There's so many people going, that's me who are listening.
So I wanted to make money in writing, and I make money when I edit, and I make money when I help other people make their books come to life.
Yeah.
And I really, like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's very satisfying to me to have a multitude of different kinds of projects that I work on.
So Joanna Penn called it a multi-passionate creative, where you have you like to do lots of different projects, not just the same thing every single time.
I can't do the same thing every time. I haven't been able to make it past book 3 in a series. My brain just doesn't work that way. But I most recently got to work with one of the very first IVF babies. She's writing her memoir / book about leadership and working in STEM. And that just is so interesting. So interesting to connect with these people. And a lot of times the people I'm working with now are not writers at all. And they deeply appreciate my skill set.
Yeah,
and that's nice too. It's nice to be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your definition of success?
It's being able to live without really worrying about money and without spending all my time working. I really value the time I spend with my family and with my husband and by myself doing what I want to do in addition to my work. So my definition of success is working 20 hours or less a week and living a lifestyle that is fully middle class.
Yeah, I love that. And that it is so healthy the way you describe it, because it's not your whole life is wrapped up in sitting in front of a desk typing all day. You're doing other things.
Constant striving. And that is one thing I can say about Alyssa. She is I feel like one of the most content people I know. Like she just really, she thrives where she's planted. And I love that. She's very peaceful to be around.
Thanks, Jamie.
You're welcome.
What are you glad you know now?
I'm going to keep going back to this because it's new for me. ADHD is something I was just recently diagnosed with, and I had no idea what it was until my son came to me. He's 17 and said, I think I have ADHD. And I said, no, you don't. And then I looked into it and realized that not only does he probably have it, I had it for sure. And that all of a sudden explained why my life had been so hard for stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you find out about strengths from Becca Simon, and you're like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Yes, definitely. And girls, women, the average age of diagnosis for women is 35, and for boys, it's 7. So it's just really, there's huge gap in awareness of how it displays in women. And I like to start thinking, in order to recognize myself, if I just talk about symptoms, a lot of people will recognize themselves in it, and they might be able to have that same ability to say, oh gosh, maybe I'm dealing with something that's a little bit more challenging than the average human being. And so for me, I have a constantly messy house. I cannot keep a clean house to save my life. I didn't understand how other people could. And I always had lots of just a trail of things behind me. You could see where Alyssa had been by the open cabinets and the glasses left behind.
Yeah.
And then the new glass because she couldn't find the last glass that had the water in it or whatever.
Yeah.
And the inability to make it to the car to go out for a trip of any kind without leaving something behind that I need. And I have to go back to the house. 99 out of, I'm going to say 999 times out of 1,000, that happens.
Yeah.
And so I guess since we have a little bit of an audience here, it's helped me so much to learn this about myself and to understand what challenges it presents and what gifts it delivers to me, because I think my heightened focus and my ability to really I think I have a gift when it comes to editing and hearing other people's words the way that they want them to be heard. And I think it's because I have a weird brain.
Yeah.
And I love my weird brain.
Yeah. And I think that is true, that it's a gift. Some people think these things are not bad, but like they're drawbacks. But I think if you turn around and look at it and say, okay, what superpower does this give me? It's a completely different way to think about it. And really, like, super focus, that is a
Who doesn't want
superpower.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I know I was older than you, and I was diagnosed a couple of years ago, and they prescribed some medication. It didn't work. And then I've been in a funk, let's just say. And so I was
You've
like,
been going through it, Jamie.
I just did not really pursue it anymore and just lived with it. And then in May, I got on Adderall, and this is not medical advice, but in the book, and I mentioned on here before, this book I'm writing, it's the book Adderall wrote, because I can sit down and focus, and it's just crazy. So for me, it's not focus. I don't have super focus without medication. I am very distractible about everything. So my symptoms are a little bit less, but I struggle with the house thing, just the lack of focus.
I couldn't bring myself to make a doctor's appointment either. It was
Yeah.
really hard for me to make doctor's appointments for myself until I got on medication. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. Bam, did it. Because we don't have enough dopamine in our brains to motivate us to do the thing. So it really is genuinely difficult without those chemicals in your brain working for you.
It's so interesting because procrastination is a big one of mine. And it's for that reason. Like, it seems so overwhelming. And then you get in to do something, to do it, and you're like, oh, that was no big deal. Why did I put it off for 6 months? But so with writing now, if I just open the document, and it could just be this book, but I don't care. It's this book. If I open the document, I can write. It's so weird. It's eliminated a bunch of steps for me. Like, I just have to open the document. That's all I have to do. And then I can write. Where before I would come up with all kinds of reasons not to, or just forget. Sometimes I would forget I hadn't written until 6 o'clock at night and go, oh, I hadn't written. Things like that just seem silly to most people. But for me, that was just normal.
I had actually heard that one thing from somebody else as well, another writer, and she said that that was the thing. She had to open the document, and that was the only requirement for her day. But once she opened it, she found herself compelled to write.
Yeah. So that's what's changed for me, because before that would not have been the case. I would have opened it, I would have stared at it, I would have looked out the window, found something out there I needed to do, or walked. I'm constantly in the middle of 6 different projects because I start one and then cleaning out my drawer. I'm that person in the pit memes and stuff. You start cleaning out your closet, and your husband comes home 5 hours later, and you're dressed in everything you've got in your closet because you found cute things or fun things to put on. Yeah. So that's me. But yeah, I think it's really important to talk about it, because nobody would have thought I was. They just thought I was silly. Or
I was going to say, do you think it goes back to the stereotypes that are associated with women a lot, that, oh, she's just ditzy, or she's just forgetful, or she's just in perimenopause and she's just kind of kooky? I think that may be part of it.
Yeah, go through perimenopause and being undiagnosed ADHD. Woo!
Ooh,
that's a roller coaster for the family right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they say every time you have a massive hormonal shift, it gets a little bit stronger. 3 kids, perimenopause. Yeah, that took my brain for a ride, and just I got to the point where I was like, what is wrong with me?
I think you're going crazy. I know.
What would your advice be to somebody who's maybe listening to this and thinks, maybe I have this? What would your advice be to them? How do they go about finding somebody to talk to and get diagnosed and checked for this and all that?
I think the first thing I would do is read a book. That's what I do.
Yeah, sounds like a great advice to me.
Yeah, so I immediately started reading, and I think the 2 that stand out for me are It's an Oldie But a Goodie by Sari Solden, Sarisolden. And I think it's called ADHD in Women, or Attention Deficit Disorder for Women, something those lines. And then the other one Women
I'm
with
ready.
Attention Deficit Disorder by Sari Solden. And she also has a newer book out that was put out in 2019. I have not read that one yet, but I was going to get it. And the other one is ADHD for Smart Ass Women by Tracy Otsuka.
Perfect.
Tsuka. And then Daniel Amen, he wrote a book called Healing ADD. And that's the one that I don't care for his attitude, but it was really cool to see the brain scans because he's done tens of thousands of brain scans, or thousands of brain scans, I should say. And it was really interesting to see a brain, an ADHD brain pre and post medicine.
Wow.
Okay.
That's crazy. And for me, I went to my PCP and just said, I think there's something not right. And so he referred me to a psychiatrist, and I took the test, and that's who I deal with now. Yeah.
And I just have known I knew I was going to be in a state of healthcare flux. And so I actually went to ADHD online and got a diagnosis that way. And I've been getting medication through them. I'm planning to switch to my PCP when I have an appointment here.
What do you think you still have to figure out?
Oh, golly. I think imposter syndrome never really goes away. I think I'm just 30 odd years into this career, and I think I'm finally feeling like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I feel really good about what I know when I sit down and work with someone. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good at this. I know what I'm doing. And it always creeps back in. Do I know what I'm doing? Am I really deserving of this? Yeah, whoever finds the magic pill for that.
Send it our way. Yeah.
Becca says imposters never get imposter syndrome. So basically, if you have imposter syndrome, you're probably fine. Just don't stress about it.
That's what they say about parenting too. If you think you're a bad parent, you're probably just fine.
Yeah.
You're worried that you're a bad parent.
Yeah. What's the most unhelpful advice you've gotten?
I think going on to that imposter syndrome, like I think I paid for courses early on that I really didn't need and shouldn't have. So there's several $1,000s down the drain.
Yeah.
By the same token, those are places where I met really important people in my life. And maybe that's a great lesson there instead of talking about what I wish I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
I think not enough people recognize the importance of community in writing. And sometimes, it's really worth it to get out and meet the other people who are doing what you do.
That's right. That $500 we all spent to go to the Smarter Artists Summit
Totally paid off.
It was the best $500 I've ever spent. It's paid off years after because I met all
I
you
remember
guys.
meeting you there, Jamie. That's when you were listening to my podcast.
Listening to your
And
podcast. Yeah.
you said you liked it or something. We met in the bathroom.
Yeah, we did. Or in the bathroom line. That was a long line for sure.
Yeah. On community, what do you think? What have you gotten from? How has the author community helped you? Because you're very connected and you're very involved in fostering community. So, like, how has it helped you? And if somebody wants to create their own connections, how would you recommend somebody go about doing that?
Yeah. So first of all, I'd find a local writing conference or writing group of some kind. Oftentimes you can find them at libraries. That's where I started. I started with critique groups long time ago, just meeting with other people who wanted to help each other get better. I would attend a conference and I would be as social as I could possibly be. I would break out my extrovert version of myself because I'm only going to be there for a few days and they're never going to, maybe they'll never see me again, or maybe they'll see the real version of me and that'll be really cool. But I've made great connections at writers' conferences. And then it's about continuing the conversation, right? So you have to reach back out and say, hey, do you want to do a weekly accountability meeting, or do you want to exchange novels and give each other critiques, or you have to continue that conversation, and it has to be productive. It can't just be, I like you, let's keep talking. It's really helpful when there's an activity involved. I like it when writing groups actually write.
It's a novel idea right there.
Right. Get together, talk about goals, and
it's like a book club that actually reads the book.
Oh, even it's not just the cheese and wine.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Chocolate. Yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going.
So building community. And then when you're, just at those places, I just break out my extrovert self. I'll say, do you want to go out to lunch? Or where's the group going to dinner? And you just start talking. And then, continuing that conversation. There's lots of ways to do that. Lots of people have Zoom accounts now, and you can keep the conversation going, keep the active action going. And I've made amazing friendships, some of my best friendships from writers' conferences. And I love I love those friendships. I love those people deeply. And they know what I go through. I know what they go through. And we're able to help each other. Those conversations, they're listening to something over here on this part of the internet, and somebody's listening to this other conversation. And we all talk and we all learn. And writing can be really lonely and frustrating, and you can feel like you don't know if you're doing it right or wrong, and plenty of people will tell you there's no way to do it wrong, but they're wrong. There are ways to do it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you have that community you have and people you trust, then you have the ability to say, am I crazy? Am I doing this right? Like, of course you are. Of course you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the way to do building community wrong is you go to these conferences, you meet people, and then you never follow up. You wait for other people to follow up with you, and you really need to be the one to follow up, I think, at least with one or two people, because people are busy, other things, especially if they're more established authors than you, then they've got more things going on. So you reaching out helps to foster those things. I know it's a lot for a lot of people. That's not hard for me. So I always am very reluctant to say, just do it, because I know it's harder than just do it. But if you can, just do it. Yeah. What's the biggest change you've had to make in your thinking?
That luck and marketing didn't matter as much as I think they do now.
So tell us more about that. That's an interesting statement.
Oh, that I believe that if you wrote a good enough book, it would eventually find its audience no matter what. And I don't believe that's true anymore. That may have been true for a very short time, in a golden window of time, but that window of time is no longer here. So we're fighting against a glut of content. There's a huge amount of content out there. So there is some luck element. The right person reads your book at the right time and gushes about it to the right people. Word of mouth is always, of course, the best advertising there is. There's definitely a marketing element. I think if you don't develop your marketing chops or hire someone to help you with marketing, you can write a lot of really good books and not make any money at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the market is very different than it once was. And there is this thought that the cream rises to the top. And
to some degree it does.
But there's also a lot of
it's got to go through a lot of stuff to get to the top.
Yes, yes. And you might as well help it along if you can with some marketing. So I agree.
Yeah, I think so. And there's a lot of books that are being written by entrepreneurs who are using AI to do it. And I think there are a lot of great ways to use AI writers.
Yeah.
Really. I use AI. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't use it, but I don't use it. I guess I should talk about how I do use it.
And that was on the list because you have you've embraced it as a tool to really make your life easier and not as a way to get ahead by quote unquote cheating. You've just but it has helped you get ahead in some things because it's a powerful tool. So tell us how you do use it.
Yeah, and I use it when I'm working on outlines. I use it to make sure that my outlines are as robust as they can be. I'll ask it. Okay, so the first thing is I like to tell the AI what role it is serving for me. So I'd say you're top class, Big 5 New York City developmental editor, and you work with nonfiction authors writing in whatever genre I'm working in. Please review this outline and give me the feedback about what might be missing. And I always end by saying, ask me any questions you have about this task before performing it, or something along those lines, right? Ask me any questions before you start this work. And then it often does ask pretty insightful questions that help it give me a good answer. I think, I don't know how much misinformation is remaining about AI out there if people have taken the time to educate themselves about what it is or have not done so. But if AI learned from my novels, I'm happy about that, because that means that I'm informing the collectives. I'm a Star Trekian in this way.
You're influencing the zeitgeist, right?
I think people are looking at it with fear, and they could be looking at it with optimism. And it's taken so many hours of work.
Do you have certain specific AI tools that you use? Do you like a certain one over the other for certain tasks? I know that certain people are like, oh, I always use ChatGPT or I always use Claude. I was just curious if you have, do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite. I use different models for different things. When I want to put something in memory, I tend to go to ChatGPT so I can look at the memory and see what it's remembering about me. When I have a one-off and I might just trot off to Gemini, which is Google's. With marketing, I've heard that Gemini is better at creating ideas for reels and ChatGPT is better at creating emotional taglines. So I think marketing is a great place to use AI.
I use it as a brainstorm partner for marketing taglines and things like that. I've gone back and forth with it. Okay, I've had an idea. They refine it. I'm like, that's good, but can you make it funnier? Can you make more whimsical or more quirky or whatever? And it's been great because normally I take what they ultimately come up with and then I put my spin on it. And actually, I have an ad running now, which, if y'all know, that I have not had ads work for me, but I have an ad that was running on a free book that's no longer free, but the ad is still going well because of the tag that I put on it. It's a good tagline. And I think that's why. That seems to be why.
I think it's great for me to get me thinking. And it's really good too at condensing things down. I tend to be too wordy sometimes. And sometimes I'll say, okay, just make this more concise. And it can retain the gist of my thoughts but make it tighter.
It's really good at that. It's really good. You can read a whole novel and ask it to give you a story Bible or a synopsis, or an outline, or a list of characters. You can give it a nonfiction book and ask it to strip out the things that should go into a workbook. And then you can make sure that looks good. Everything needs validation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we need the judgment that we provide. It can give you a list of 10 marketing tags, possibilities, but we've got to use our own judgment to go, okay, this one is way off. This is not even right. This one's closer. And this one sparks an idea that I can use. So yeah, it's like you put in your stuff and then come back 2 hours later and it's completed your project for you. Anybody who thinks that, I'm like, I don't think you've really used AI.
Yeah, exactly. What I love about what Alyssa has done is that she, and this is just Alyssa across the board, she's not judgmental. And so she heard about, and you went in and learned about it. Like you heard about it, you heard the controversy, but you were like, I'm going to see this for myself. And you really immersed yourself, learned the good, the bad, and the ugly about it. And you've been able to really use that to help you be more productive and to just lighten your workload in some ways. And so I think that's great.
I've loved it. Yeah, and you're right. And to bring it full circle, it's someone I met at a conference who opened my eyes.
Yeah.
And said the big 5 publishing houses are absolutely employing AI to try and write content. And it would behoove us to make sure that we know how to use AI to the best of our abilities. I also just learned about how a large language model functions. So I know that I don't worry about plagiarism anymore because I understand how it functions.
Yeah. 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 That was eye-opening when you explained that to me because I did not know that. So that's really very cool. Let's talk about the Book of Birth. Explain to people what your role in it was and how it came about. Because I think it's really interesting because some people would call it ghostwriting, but it wasn't ghostwriting. It was something else. It was something more, really. And I just think that's so interesting.
Yeah. One of my very best friends happens to be Mary Michael Potter's daughter. And she was my nanny for a year when my kids were super little. And so we have been friends ever since. And oh gosh, I think it was probably 2021, she came to me and said, Alyssa, it's time. My mom really needs to write her book, but she doesn't know how to do it. Do you know anybody who might be able to help us?
And you went,
let me think about that.
I think she just didn't want to ask me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, oh, I'd love to help you. And so I hadn't actually ever met Mary Michael before. So the three of us met, and Mary Michael's a tiger. She's a personality. She's a force to be reckoned with. And we all got along famously. And I worked with Mary Michael to create an outline for her book. We had a contract that covered that she was going to write it, and I would edit it and help them get it published, guide them in marketing, but I would not do the marketing because I don't know marketing. And then I waited for any kind of draft to come my way, and Mary Michael just couldn't, and she just could not write. And so she started recording, and I started listening, and I would just get recordings covering some topic that she wanted to cover in the book somehow, somewhere. And so I began to quilt this book together and wrote it in her voice to the best of my ability. And her daughter was also a pivotal part of the team. Mary Michael and I are very different people, and we're both very stubborn. And so Aaliyah played this role of mediator and communicator. And it was interesting because I'm used to playing that role. I'm not one that, but in this case, I felt really strongly about a lot of things because I know a lot about these things. But it was an incredibly bonding experience. I feel extremely proud of the book that we built there. I've had 3 kids, and I think it's the best book on pregnancy that I've read, and I've read a lot of them. I found it challenging just because there was that friendship aspect to play to it as well.
I imagine, yeah.
But we fought through it. At one point, I remember we took a 3-day retreat, and we rented an Airbnb just because it's hard to get Mary Michael. She's still catching babies. She's still in her mid-70s, and she's still catching babies. And so it's hard to get her to commit to a solid amount of attention time for the book. So we rented that Airbnb and spent 3 days just intensely going over every single word of it. Again, it's a 630-page document. So it was an intense 3 days. We didn't have enough time. We should have scheduled 7 days.
Yeah.
But it was with what we had, what we could do. And I remember at the end of it, we were all so tired and raw and probably just constantly hangry. Like, I think if we hadn't built the strong relationship throughout the process, that final retreat probably would have broken us. But we made it through. We made it through.
Yeah, that's great. Now, the challenge has been with that book, though, is getting it in front of people. Yeah. And because it is dense and so much information. And if you look at a lot of pregnancy books, they're like, what to expect when you're expecting, but then here's what to expect when you give birth, and here's what to expect postpartum, and here's what to expect when you're raising your kids. And this is the entire book. And so it's been challenging. Have y'all come up with some ways to get it in front of people? Or are you still working on that?
We are working on it. I know that I've backed away from involving myself in the marketing of it, but I know that they are working to build a Shopify store and work to direct market with advertising, which I think I'm hopeful for.
But it's kind of the best of both worlds. You got to be involved. You got to be involved in this really meaningful project that you believe in, and be involved on a level even greater than you thought you would be with the things that you're good at. But then you can give it away for the things that you either don't like or don't feel like you're good at. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I like that too. I had a boss once who told me, anytime your job gets to be too big, to cut off something that you don't like. And I feel like I've been doing that kind of whittling for a long time, point where I can say, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not good at that. I know myself well enough to say I'm not good at that.
Yeah. It takes a while to get to that point, I think. You have to be really honest with yourself. So I think that's really wise if you can say, that's a goner.
Yep.
Since we're talking about this, if you were starting over today, would you do anything differently? Or is there any advice you would give somebody that's starting out now?
This ADHD diagnosis is coloring everything. So I'd like if I could go back to my 10-year-old self and say, hey, by the way, I'm not really diagnosing for this yet, but when they do,
Exactly. Get in line. Be the front of the line.
But that's not really applicable for a lot of people. Although they say it's massively underdiagnosed. It's been ignored in women particularly. So if I could go back, I think I would tell myself not to worry so much. I think I would tell myself that, like Claire likes to say, there's no emergencies in publishing. You have all the time in the world to explore, experiment, try new things, and don't judge yourself for it. I think I would tell myself not to judge myself for genre hopping and for trying different things until I found what I really do like to do.
I love that. What do you think the best thing you've done to set yourself up for success has been?
The best thing I have done is I've met the right people and I've made really great relationships. And I think opportunity really does come down to who a lot of
That
times.
is 100% true. Yeah. But I'm over here. You're so like, your answer, I'm like, yeah. I'm one of the people she met and knows that. So I'm agreeing with her about
Absolutely.
that. But
Right.
no, I would
Both are.
agree that would be my answer too. In fact, it has been my answer that it's about meeting people, building community in this business.
No, and it's just that private chat room that you jump into and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't written for 5 days. And then
somebody else says me either. Or they say,
let's jump into a sprint room and let's do it. But in some way, they find some way to be helpful.
Exactly.
And often it's different ways, right? There's one person who's don't worry about it. And then somebody else says, I'll help you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And at different times, you need different things.
I've been meeting with people lately who have been badly burned by the con artists in our industry, right? Like, I spoke with someone this week who lost $85,000 for the pleasure of learning how to write her own book.
Oh my.
And I really feel for those people. And I told her the writing community is, we have the best of the best and the worst of the worst. It feels like when you find the best, you hold on to them. And I've been lucky enough to get to know, I was around at the right time and met the right people. And I enjoy the life that I've built. I enjoy the community I have around me. I enjoy my hours spent not working.
Going to trivia night in your new little town. Yeah. Roller skating.
Every night, roller skating.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a Taylor Swift sing along tonight.
We better wrap this up.
I know, exactly.
It's been so fun to talk to you. And tell everyone where they can find out about the book and anything else you want to share.
Your authorship, your editing services and stuff like that.
So the Book of Birth is available where all books are. Anywhere you can buy a book, you should be able to buy it. Or you can request it from your library. It's called The Book of Birth, Volume 1. And that's because Volume 2 is going to be postpartum. And that should be coming out in the next year.
Awesome.
And all of my work now is word of mouth. I don't really maintain a website. I'm grateful that my clients like what I do and they share my information with other people who need my help. And so I don't really have a website that I maintain anymore.
Nice. I think that's a good place to be.
That is a very good place to be. Thanks for being here, Alyssa. We appreciate it. It's always good to talk to you.
Thanks for listening today. And you can support the podcast at wishidknowforwriters.com/support. And you can find all the links in the show notes at that same link. And we will see everybody next week.
Bye.